Good evening, traders. Zach here with the Trading Network. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you are ready for another great week in the markets. It is Sunday evening, so that means it is time for yet another weekly market profile forecast for both the ES and NQ futures markets. So we are going to waste zero time. We're going to dive right in here to the NQ session profile first and foremost. We'll dig into some weekly profile levels. I'll do the same for ES, and then we will hop on over into the candlestick charts, and I will discuss a little bit of my analysis on that end as well. So without any further ado, let's dive in. And generally speaking, I'm going to be looking at, you guys guessed it, the reaction to Friday's levels. So you can see that the market just opened up a little bit ago. We are currently trading around 13,190 on NQ. And my major line in the sand on a session basis moving forward tomorrow is going to be Friday's high at 13,255. So if we move and hold above 13,255, very likely that we get pretty quick move into the high from April 3rd, which is at 13,280-ish. And I'll be looking for a larger move of acceptance above 13,280 to 13,325. That is the regular trading hours high from April 4th. So upside conviction on a session profile basis, these two levels are where I would be looking first and foremost. Once again, that is 13,280 and 13,325. So mark those levels off on your charts. Keep an eye out on them tomorrow, especially if you see price move and hold above 13,250. We are likely going to see some upside pressure. So if we do not see upside pressure on that note, then we are very likely to move back down toward the value area low. Well, firstly, the POC and then the value area low from Friday. Currently, you can see that we are right under the value area high from Friday at 13,196. So if we can't get acceptance, firstly, above the value area high there, look for a move down to 13,150. If 13,150 breaks and is acting as resistance, or it is seeming like the market is having difficulty holding above that level, look for, firstly, a move down to 132. Good confluence there with the initial balance low from Friday, and then down to 13.1K. That is the overnight low from Thursday into Friday's session, and then great confluence really between or right around that 13.1K level. So we've got Friday's value low, we've got Thursday into Friday overnight low, and we've got Thursday's value low at 13,102. And if we go back another day, we've got Wednesday's value high at 13,106. So that is going to be an important level. If you see downside pressure and you're watching price, break the POC, for example, and Thursday's POC at 132, very good chance that we are seeing that downside pressure into 13.1K, possibly lower. And if we go lower, look for a move to Friday's low at 1358. So that is my thought in regards to the NQ session profile. Let me load up my weekly charts, and we will dig into some weekly profile action. All right, so weekly NQ profile. Pretty simple stuff here. We'll look at some higher levels when we get to the candlestick chart. But overall, main areas that I'm going to be looking at are 212, that's last week's value high. 255, that's last week's high. Move and hold above 255, very likely gets us a move to 293. You can see that we have the weekly high from March 27th at 311, and then we have the weekly high from April 3rd at 326, which coincides with the April 4th regular trading hours high that we saw on the session profile. So when I move to the candlestick charts, I will talk about some higher levels above 326, but until now, we're at 185, so we got a little bit to go. But keep an eye on these major levels: 13,212.75, 13,255, 13,293, 13,311, and then of course that 13,325 level to the upside. Now to the downside, I would say that we kind of have a gap in liquidity, if you will, right here, and this is what I'm going to be paying attention to. So my thought is, if we do not see acceptance above 13.2K, firstly, we're very likely to move back down into these high volume nodes here that are on the monthly volume composite profile. So we've got one at 13,160-ish, we've got one at 13,130-ish, and then we have this basically liquidity void all the way down into last week's point of control at 13,082. So what that means is, especially if we get a break below 124, very likely a quick move into 13,082, which is again last week's POC. And if that does not hold, I would be looking for a move down into 13,042, which is last week's value area low. Of course, a break below that area likely gets us moves to these prior weekly lows. 12,953, that is not last week's low, but the previous week's low. And then last week's low is 12,937. So, of course, we got a ways to go really to reach any of these major levels. But I think it is very important to always keep an eye on these levels, stay flexible, do not have a bias, just allow the market to tell you what to do. When it comes to ES, pretty similar to NQ as usual. But one thing that I want to point out is this 4190 level, 4189 to be precise, is really, our major line in the sand on both a session and weekly basis at the moment. So what I would be looking for is acceptance above that level. If we get acceptance above 4190, we are very likely to see higher levels that we have not seen in quite a bit. I would be looking towards, dare I say, like 4250, 4260, and then 4370-ish, which I will show you guys on the weekly chart why I am staring at those areas. But consider that if we do get acceptance above this 4190 level, it could open up a pretty large move on the macro scale. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. As far as the downside goes, if we do not see acceptance above, firstly, great confluence here, 4177, overnight high from the 11th into 12th, 4177, regular trading hours high from the 13th, 4177, overnight high from the 13th into 14th, right? So really, really important level there. If we get acceptance above 4177, likely a nice little long trade opportunity up to 4189, and then we got to sit and watch and wait to see what happens at that 89.90-ish level. On the downside, a break below 4170-ish very likely gets us a move into this 61 level. Good confluence there. Regular trading hours high from the 12th, lining up with the overnight low from the 13th and the 14th. So nice little support resistance flip there. If that breaks that 4160 level, I would at least be looking for a move. Probably the value area low from Friday, 4140. I would say this would be more of like a structure break if we break down below this low from Friday. So bulls definitely want to try their very best to hold that 4140 level. But if not, we got 4124, 4110-ish, good confluence there. Nice little zone between some stacking lows. And then we got a naked POC on the downside here at 4,078. We got multiple naked POCs on the downside. So things to keep in mind, things to consider, things to keep an eye on, my friends. So with that said, let's pop over to ES Weekly. Similar vibes. Once again, 4189, that's going to be major line in the sand. Acceptance above that likely gets us some larger moves on the macro scale, as I was mentioning. So once again, I'll pop on over to the weekly chart in just a sec here. But for the downside on the macro, look at 4163. 4163 is the value area high from last week and the weekly high from the week of April 3rd, right? So very important level. Break below 4163 likely gets us a move pretty quickly, I would say, to 4143. And what do you know? Great confluence between the weekly high from March 27th and the point of control from last week at 4143. Quite literally a point and a tick away from each other. That is great confluence. We've got not last week's value high, but the week of April 3rd value high at 4136. So, a little real world trade example or idea. If you see 4143 break, and let's say that price breaks below 4143, it comes back, retests it, rejects it, puts in some bearish divergence, right? That could be a great trade opportunity down to 4136. Boom, you got yourself a 6-7 point scalp right there. If you see something like that present itself. So that is, once again, I always like to drop those little tidbits of how you can really utilize these market profile levels in real time. I know that a lot of this might sound theoretical, but truly, if you guys just mark these levels up, especially if you're new to the profile, you are going to find a lot of value, and I bet that you will very quickly never draw your own support and resistance levels again. And that's really what drew me personally to the market profile. Is I always used to see and hear people for lack of a better way to put it, arguing about where their support and resistance levels were, right? Because if you're just guessing and you don't have something that says, yes, this is yesterday's high, yes, this is yesterday's low, yes, this is the POC, which is where the most trading activity took place in the entire session, those are clear, definable levels that tell you they're important, right? But if you are just looking at a candlestick chart and you're just randomly marking off levels, even if you're marking off like swing highs and swing lows, you still might be missing a piece of the puzzle if, you know, maybe the value area low is in a different spot, maybe range high at a different spot, things of that nature. So that is why if you guys watch my scalping videos, you will never see me draw my own support and resistance levels. I only trade off of automatically generated market profile levels, automatically generated Fibonacci pivots, and automatically generated VWAP deviations. And that is another little gem for you guys. If you're still drawing your own manual support and resistance levels, obviously, you know, copying our trade plan levels, that is not doing that. You want to, in my opinion, use something like market profile levels, even if you don't have access to the chart. Use our trade plan, mark up our market profile levels. If you guys aren't aware, we release trade plans every single day at 10 a.m. Eastern time, 30 minutes after the market open for the public. We release the trade plans in our Facebook group. You can find the link below. We release them on Twitter. We release them on Instagram, and they have an exceptionally high hit rate. You guys can go and you can back test our trade plans. We've been making them for years, quite literally years, and the stats are pretty insane. So if you guys get some free time, definitely dive into our trade plans, back test them, and at the very least, check them out every morning and mark off those levels and watch the reaction to those levels, most importantly. So without going on too much of a tangent, these levels, once again, are what I'm going to be looking at on ES to the upside. 41.89, really my major line in the sand level. 41.63, major level. 41.43, 41.36, and then if we get rejection from 41.36, 10-point move down to the 26 POC from the April 3rd profile, and then likely down to last week's value area low at 41.13. And that should give you guys plenty of levels to work from. I will point this out too. Gotta love the confluence. So the low from April 3rd, the week of April 3rd, is also the value area low, right? And it is also last week's low. So once again, within a couple points, less than 2 points here. Same thing. You guys see these market profile levels stacking up. That is the market saying, hey, this is an important level. The market has spent time and done business at these areas for multiple weeks in a row. So much so that the levels are stacking up in this case within, you know, points of each other. Now, it's going to be short and sweet, but I have to say, like, I'm trying to stay flexible. I'm trying to remain unbiased, but I will say this is, I mean, pretty amazing structure. It's beautiful structure. If this, you know, was a 377 tick chart, as I always like to say, this is pretty darn close to an A+ setup. Bullish divergence, higher low, slightly higher low or equal low. I would call it a higher low because there's the low right there from the prior, and boom, there's our new low. So we are continually making higher highs, higher lows on ES. We have broken this probe to the upside on the weekly chart. I'm, once again, trying to contain myself here. BBWP, that's saying volatility is very contracted and it's likely to expand very soon. BBWP crossing up. Boom, we've got the oscillators currently crossing up. We've got PMARP crossing the signal line to the upside. If we break this level, I think that it's very likely we're revisiting 43.50 fairly quick. If you guys want a little in-between level, look at 42.44 and 42.87. So these are the levels that I would be looking at. Now, I know I just went on a whole spiel talking about how I don't manually draw my support and resistance levels, but I'm not trading off of these levels. I want to make that very clear. You know, I'm just saying if we get further upside, I would be looking for moves towards 42.40, 42.90-ish, and then 43.50. But take that with a grain of salt, and you guys can obviously load more market profile data, and I will be doing the same as the week goes on. We will be talking about these levels. If we do see further upside pressure, I'm going to be loading, you know, more weekly market profile data, talking about those levels as well. But for now, we haven't really broken out of the prior swing high from February. So one step at a time. You know, I just want to take it slow. I just want to plant these seeds. Obviously, if we put in a local top, that would require this weekly candle closing below 4,098.75, which would be right there. And that would indeed increase the probability of some further downside, probably to retest these lows here. But for now, structure looks quite bullish. I'll pop on over to NQ real quick. We'll talk about that briefly, but pretty similar vibes here. Candlestick structure, not as strong on NQ, I would say. And we are, let's see, 13,179 current price. Last week's low, 925, 12,925. So we're not too far away from, coming below the low of that prior weekly bar. So that's what I'm going to have my eye on. So my thought generally is, if we do confirm a weekly local top, probably a move back down closer, I would say at least to test like the 21 EMA on the weekly at 12,450-ish. But, kind of just mental masturbation at this point. One level at a time, one trade at a time. We are intraday traders, so the weekly chart matters a little bit less. As always, I just like to discuss a bit of a more macro view before the week gets started. So I'm going to wrap things up here. I want to thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to watch this content. If you do find this stuff valuable, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and click that bell notification to be notified every single time we post videos here on the channel. If you guys want to learn more about what we do here at the Trading Network as well, check out our website, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can purchase access to our most popular product, the Trading Network Pro Trader Bundle, which includes lifetime access to our private Discord, access to our Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, where we teach multiple strategies for varying market conditions, and last but not least, access to our proprietary indicator package. Now, if you guys are interested in a more tailored or catered experience to your individual strengths and weaknesses as a trader, I also offer one-on-one mentorship in the form of a 4-week program, which is 20 one-on-one hourly Zoom sessions, and a 10-week program, which is 50 one-on-one hourly Zoom sessions. If you guys are interested in scheduling a 15-minute consultation to see if mentorship would be a good fit for you, please feel free to DM me the word consult on Instagram, or you can click the link below. I have my Calendly link, and you can schedule a 15-minute consult. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to watch this content. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, shoot us a DM on Instagram, or shoot us an email at info@thetradingnetwork.io, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Much love. I appreciate you, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.